A bit earlier than usual because of breaking news at this hour. A grand jury here in New York City has just handed up an indictment against former President Donald Trump, making him the first former president in U.S. history to face criminal charges. This, of course, is unprecedented. The former president accused of paying $130,000 in hush money to Stormy Daniels in the weeks before the 2016 presidential election. Again, the news just coming in moments ago, according to multiple sources, the Manhattan grand jury votes to indict Donald Trump. I want to bring in our investigative reporter, Aaron Katersky, in Lower Manhattan tonight. Aaron, what have you learned?
Word came down just a short while ago, David, that a grand jury that has been meeting here since January has just voted to return an indictment against former President Trump. The indictment is currently under seal, so we don't know the specific charges, but the grand jury had been hearing evidence about Trump's alleged role in that hush payment you mentioned to Stormy Daniels.
Factual. I've never voted. And so I'm not saying that with pride. I'm hardcore MAGA tonight. I will be voting. I am hardcore MAGA. I've never voted. I did, I observed Trump. I'm somewhat supportive of Trump, but they have made me MAGA. And they have made me ready for whatever is next, because what they are building for young people, I can't sit by and just let it happen without raising my voice and without being willing to sacrifice whatever so that kids don't live in a communist Marxist society. These people that think the government is going to take care of them don't understand history, that they've never studied history. They don't understand how tyrannical a government is. If they have their way, if they have their way, we're all catching hell except for the elites.
Well, yes, you've seen it here, folks. Trump has been indicted or indicted or whatever one you want to say, and it's a pressing time in this country to really have something like this happen when there's no real reason for it to happen. It's a George Soros DA, and we all know that they're going after a political party for pointless reasons. And I'll show some videos, especially some lawyers are talking about this briefly, about what and how stupid it is and what have you, and part of the reasons why this is a really dumb case. We also have a few issues where we have with, the one grand jury, which I want to question on if they're actually not that are against Trump, which would be a huge problem as well. So I think there's a lot of questions to ask here and the questions to be answered, and it really needs to go on. We'll have a lot more news as well as we go through this, so I'll try to get through this as much as possible. The video may be long, so I don't know if I want to make this a 2-part or a 1-part. But I'll try my best. Without further ado, here's one of the MSNBC and these people just acting insane about this whole situation, and then we'll go through the actual article here.
The governor of Florida does not know the facts, so he cannot talk about questionable facts in this case. He doesn't know them. Only the grand jury knows, and this is a sealed indictment. So he's making a statement about something he doesn't know the answer to and throwing out, as you said, Andrew, dog whistles. Historically, this meme, this idea among the right that African Americans, that black folks who are in positions are controlled by some Jewish overseer who's pulling their strings. That's what that statement reads like. And perhaps this governor should maybe read a history book to speak, because he might not understand what he is channeling. But he is channeling an era in American history that is one of the most ugly, that he's probably not allowing to be taught in school. But that idea that this prosecutor, and by the way, it's not just this prosecutor, Andrew, and I'll let you go on this and let you have a final word on it. It was a grand jury that looked at facts, that looked at evidence, and this grand jury took a vote, which is part of our system. And so for the governor of one of our largest states and most important states to throw out a miasma of words that are meant to trigger the far right for his political ambitions that really do sound like that old meme that this black prosecutor must be under the secret control of this, murky Jewish millionaire. That could be 1950, and it is not dignified. It's beneath the dignity of a governor.
Absolutely. Look, I mean, let's get real. This country has a history, and one that is not just in something that goes back to the 18th and 19th.
Yeah, so essentially wanting to indict Trump on these really weird or rare charges is pretty stupid. Honestly, from what I'm seeing here, is that this is the stupidity about this making kind of like racism is dumb because just like the one guy said, Andrew Weissman, he says like, oh, we had done a lot of bad things in this country. Yes, every single country down in history, even to Japan, Japan maybe being the worst, is that we have all done some type of evil or very bad things as a country. We can't deny that. That is truth. We know this is a problem. We know that happened. However, it's how we grow as a country and move past from that and not live in the past. What we have to do is be in the now. And we don't do that stuff anymore as this country. And to automatically think that this country is racist is completely asinine. I don't think even Joy Reid even knows what the true things are here, because that's just the case. However, we're going to go to the actual article because this kind of is more of a thing here. We have DeSantis says Florida won't help extradite Trump to NYC after indictment. The conservative Republican who is expected to challenge Trump for 2024 GOP presidential nomination said District Attorney Alvin Bragg was weaponizing his office by bringing charges after impaling a grand jury to look into hush money payments to porn star Stormy Daniels. The weaponization of the legal system to advance a political agenda turns the rule of law on its head is un-American, DeSantis said on Twitter. 100% agree. The Soros-backed Manhattan District Attorney has consistently bent the law to downgrade felonies and to excuse criminal misconduct. Yet now he's stretching the law to target a political opponent. Florida will not assist in an extradition request given the questionable circumstances at issue with this Soros-backed Manhattan prosecutor and his political agenda. Despite his offer, DeSantis likely has little power to prevent New York officials from calling Trump to the city. The U.S. extradition requires the governor of each state to deliver up fugitives from justice found in their state upon lawful demand from another state. The shocking alliance comes after the weeks of the biggest contenders for Republican presidential nomination, butting heads. Over a week later, DeSantis took a jab at Trump before saying wouldn't get involved in the imperial trial despite disagreeing with the actions of Bragg, who was backed by liberal billionaire financier George Soros. I don't know what goes into paying hush money to a porn star to secure silence over some type of alleged affair. I can't speak to that. But what I can speak to is that if you have a prosecutor who is ignoring crimes happening every single day in his jurisdiction, and he chooses to go back many years to try to use something about porn star hush money payments, that's an example of pursuing a political agenda and weaponizing the office. I exactly agree. We know how bad New York has gotten. We know how bad none of the crimes and stuff that they have been doing to prevent the said crime. They even went out to try to maybe even arrest a guy and even did put him into jail for defending himself and not the criminal. So I don't know where we're gonna go with this. That okay, so there's hush money, so that's illegal, which it's not, which we'll go over with in this video. And then there is the mere fact that you're not putting other people in jail for actually committing legitimate crimes. This is a problem in every stretch of the margin. I gotta spend my time on issues that actually matter to people. Blah, 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 blah. So that's what he says. The comments of anger from the former president who lashed out on Truth Social Post. We'll probably find out about false accusations and fake stories sometime in the future as he gets older, wiser, and better known when he's unfairly and illegally attacked by a woman who even classmates that are underage or possibly a man. Trump, I'm sure he will want to fight these misfits just like I do. The sealed indictment was filed Thursday even after weeks of anticipation that Trump would be charged with paying Daniels to keep their alleged tryst a secret during his training fixing for a president. Democrats have lied, cheated, and stolen in their obsession with trying to get Trump, but now they're done the unthinkable, including indicting a completely innocent person in an act of blatant election interference, he added. So, what I'm getting here is that, here's the thing. Regardless of Trump maybe doing hush money for an affair is stupid. Let's just really break this down a tiny bit here. Even though it was for an affair, right? An affair. It doesn't matter because that's not illegal. An affair is not illegal. Even if he did do it. And to pay somebody hush money about the affair is still not illegal. So I don't know where they're trying to get him for these illegal stuff here. So we're going to go through some of these videos or some of these clips from Ricardo Law explaining some of the things that is about Stormy Daniels and all this other stuff. Take a look.
This is about a $130,000 payment made by Michael Cohen to Stormy Daniels while Michael Cohen was employed by Donald Trump to get Stormy Daniels to stop talking about having sex with Donald Trump leading up to the 2016 election. Now, Trump allegedly had sex with Stormy Daniels, something he still to this day denies, back well in advance of 2016. I don't know when it was. But as the election was heating up, she was like going to release a book or something, or she was going on tour. And so she had said, she'd intimated that they had had sex. I think she had said that they had had sex, and Trump says, no, they didn't have sex or something. So he had wanted her to stop talking about it. Allegedly, Cohen makes this payment. Cohen says Trump had nothing to do with it back in the day. I don't know what he said now. I don't know how that story has changed.
He's gone off the reservation and is now trying to make it, he just...
Yeah, the problem is Cohen has perjured himself.
That
This
guy
is what
must
it's
be a
over, though.
complete-
And now what the crime is or could be is actually sort of nebulous right now. They have to... It's a grand jury investigation which might return an indictment, but basically they present everything they got to this grand jury, and they say, does this evidence that we have, and this evidence may or may not be admissible in court, that's irrelevant
if it's
to the
not
grand jury.
if you just assume that it's correct, do we have a crime here?
Right. And so then they may return a criminal act. And my understanding is that effectively their theory of the case, and this is tenuous, but this is how I get it. Donald Trump reimbursed Michael Cohen the $130,000.
Mm-hmm.
He classified his $130,000 reimbursement as a legal fee, which means he received on behalf of the Trump organization, which means he received a tax benefit for it that he may not have been entitled to.
Right.
Is that how you understand this?
That's how I understand. Yeah, that's how I understand the claim. It's total bullshit, but yeah, that's the thing. So assuming that it works like in most states, number one, an ordinary and necessary business expense itself is a fact question. Okay.
Right.
And paying someone for what is essentially a non-disclosure agreement happens all the time in business.
Of course.
All the time.
There's plenty of business uses for a non-disclosure agreement because an NDA protects the business interest of everybody involved. Like that's the entire purpose of one.
Yeah. Inadvertently misclassifying an expenditure as a ordinary and necessary business expense happens all the time too.
Right.
I just went through an audit where my client inadvertently docked me, took my legal expenses from a large transaction, and they didn't adjust it back out when they paid it. So it effectively, my fees were doubled on their tax return.
So yeah, as you can see, this is a common thing that happens in law, common things that happens in business in general. So I think this whole thing is BS. Also, one final thing here, ladies and gentlemen, is that the amount of counts that Trump is being faced is well reported. 34 counts of fraud from Manhattan District Attorney's Office stemming from hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Here's the one thing that I think after watching the Kayla Law and all this other stuff that's been happening. I don't think they're going to be able to win this because 34 counts of fraud does not really mean anything considering they have to prove that. And I don't think they can actually prove the actual 34 counts of fraud. So I don't know where they're going to go with this exactly. I mean, time will tell, but there's no real point in doing this. As the lawyers have said, this happens quite often, and there's nothing to say about it. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Let's try to share. As always, take care.